You're listening to Were You Still Talking? Hey, welcome back. This is Joel Albrecht once again, and I have on the show today, I have Gil Gillenwater. He is the founder and president of Rancho Filo's charitable organization. He is also the author of Hope on the Border, which is an absolutely amazing book. It is a powerful, visually stunning, first-hand account of one of the world's most complex and misunderstood places, the 2,000-mile border that separates the United States from Mexico. This is something I've always wondered about. We all hear a lot about the border. I don't know how much of what we hear is real. With nearly 4 decades of on-the-ground experience, adventurer Gil Gillenwater presents an unflinching portrait of life along the U.S.-Mexican border, widely considered the most dangerous migrant corridor in the world. Through gripping stories and dramatic photography, he lays bare the systematic inequities and shared culpability of both nations. And none of that is hyperbole. Like, this book is different. It's full of beautiful artwork and pictures. And it's like a work of art. It's almost like a multimedia experience. Thanks so much for coming on.
Joel, thank you. And thank you for that kind introduction. I really do appreciate it because we put a whole lot of work into that book.
And it really shows. It really shows. My wife loves art. She's actually worked at 2 different colleges, art colleges. So, she appreciated it immediately. And you open with a really scary story right off the bat, which is a great way to grip readers. Is that the scariest thing that's happened to you?
In Mexico?
Well, anywhere in the world, I'll say.
Well, I got to tell you, I have a problem with international borders. I've been arrested there. I've been arrested on the McMahon line between India and communist Chinese occupied Tibet, and I was arrested on the Mongolian border one time. So I need to probably stay away from international borders. But yes, this one, I have to say, the others were more of administrative situation. This is one that could have gone bad really, really easily. And as you know, by reading it, I thought I had covered my bases by the where I went and what time of the morning I went and so on and so forth. And that didn't turn out to be the case.
So you actually thought you were being, you had a group of people pointing guns at you, which you thought were probably drug traffickers, and it turns out that wasn't the case. First of all, I've never, thankfully, had a loaded gun pointed at me, well, by anyone, but definitely not by people that I didn't know if they were going to fire the gun or not. So, yeah, well,
that's a good thing, Joel. Trust me, that's a good thing.
That's because a very good thing.
When I look down that rifle barrel, and I talk about it in the book, they were all masked. And I could just see that one dark black eye looking at me. And those are high stress situations. And if it did happen to be smugglers, the odds would be they were on some kind of a methamphetamine of some kind. And things go south, things go wrong really, really quickly in those situations. And that's why it was so frustrating to me, because I had my hands up. They were screaming at me in Spanish and I couldn't understand what they were saying. I had a cameraman with me, so I had his well-being under my wing. And it was quite frightening until they pulled me up. And should I say what happened?
Sure. It happens in the first couple pages, so you might as well get it away.
And I was,
you're still
because
here.
The interesting thing is the smugglers, they own sections of the wall, for lack of a better term. They control them. And if you go over that wall with drugs or just trying to get illegally into the United States, you have to pay who's in charge of that section. And if you don't, It is a nightmare that you don't even want to think of. These people on the border are brutal. And we've all read the stories and the accounts, and that is not a place you want to be. And so I thought that's what we had ahead of us when we had those 6 people surround us screaming, fuera, 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 and on the ground, came up, handcuffed us, pulled me up, and because they had the masks, and then all of a sudden I noticed policia. So they were. I've never been so happy to be arrested in all my life because I can deal with that. The other one I couldn't deal with, but it just shows you how fickle that border is. It's I call it the tercer país. It's a third nation. It's not really America. It's not really Mexico. It's this bizarre amalgam of cocaine cowboys and the Catholic religion and Santa Muerte and all these people trying to get a better life and falling back in and living like refugees. You know, the strangest thing, Joel, is that in the United States of America, I can get a job on the southern border that pays me $16 to $18 an hour. I take one step into Mexico, my average wage is $14 a day. Now, nowhere else on the planet. I mean, I've been in India, I've been all over. You step into Pakistan, it's not a big deal. But here, when you go with that kind of a disparity in earning potential, you're bound to have people wanting to come to have a better life. I mean, how do you raise a family on $14 a day? And their cost of goods are 80% of what I pay in Scottsdale, Arizona. You can't. That's the easy answer. You just can't do it. So you got to find a way to do it. And that's with the drug industry is a big one. You can make a lot of money in that. Your lifespan isn't real good. Or you can illegally immigrate into the United States and get a low-level job and send money home, what most of them do. Unfortunately, that's illegal.
And it's interesting. There was another interesting part that caught my eyes about how it used to be that people would come up here and they would work and they would go back.
Exactly.
And then that completely changed. It was that in the 90s that it really.
It changed during Lyndon Johnson, I think 1965. I think the program, it was called the Braceros program. I don't know why we don't institute that today. And we can maybe talk about this if you'd like, but there are solutions to what's happening down there. We have a political climate that is not really interested in solutions. That's my observation. But there are solutions. One of them is a Braceros program. In World War II, 1942, going into World War II, we didn't have men here to pick the lettuce. And so they were off at war. So we went down into Mexico and brought 5 million Mexicans into our country to do jobs that we didn't have people to do. And we vetted them. This is critical. You got to know who you're bringing in your country. You vet them, make sure they're not criminals. You tax them so they're not a drain on the system. And you let them work. And most importantly, you let them go home when they want to go home. Where is the harm in that? America, we need immigrants. We're an aging out population. We need a younger workforce, and we've got it right there, but we can't get our act together to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree with you on every level there. And I mean, we're a nation of immigrants, but from what I see, the border, and I don't know when this started, but I think it's been about 40 years. It's become a hot button political issue.
Absolutely.
So it's not politically, it doesn't make political sense to do real fixes, or you just can't get it done because of what's going on, and this isn't a new thing. It's of course, worse today in 2025 than it's ever been, but definitely than it's been in a long time. But, every single president has been up against a wall, and I think the same with governors and people who want to help it all along the border. They're really against a wall politically to do anything. Right. Isn't that right?
Yes, it's right. And I mean, you can look at speeches that Obama gave, that Clinton gave, go on back to even Nixon talking about the border problem and how we can best fix it. And here we are. In the worst problem. Well, actually, we're not in as bad a problem today as we were a year ago. So as far as border security, and we don't believe in open borders at Rancho Feliz. I don't take a political position or side. I just like to see what works and what doesn't. And what I witnessed, Joel, in the last 4 years, people coming in by the thousand. I was there. Don't tell me about it. Were you there? I was there. I saw it. I've got photographs of it. People pouring in by the thousands. Border Patrol. I'm going, what? Why aren't you guys doing something? They go, we're being invaded. I said, well, can I take pictures? Take all the pictures you want. The American public needs to know what's going on down here. And during those 4 years, 13 million people wandered into the United States of America unvetted. I mean, we weren't sovereign. We were not a sovereign country during that period of time. And that's a dangerous place to be when you let people in and you don't know who they are and you don't know what their past is. So at least that has slowed down.
And it's really has changed. It changes every like all the time, right? The amount of people that come into the country for different reasons, different political reasons, and different political reasons in South America. The amount of people
Right.
coming in really changes a lot, and that I think that's a message people don't get. So when a politician uses it like, this many people are coming in now. Obviously, the situation has gotten a lot worse, but a lot of the numbers they don't look at any history when they tell you these numbers. They
You're
you
right.
know.
When there's a coup in Honduras, and
Hmm.
you get more people like that are fleeing that. Evidently, there's some climate change stuff that's affecting people to move north. But I do have to tell you, because I was down there 5 days ago on the border, and for all intents and purposes, there is no illegal immigration into the United States of America right now.
Yeah, see, that's very interesting. I really not only did I think it was interesting to talk to a person who is there and has a nonprofit there, um, but yeah, just having someone on the ground, someone who's done this for a long time, is a very interesting conversation. I mean, the idea of borders to me is what's the word? I wish it didn't exist. I know
Yeah.
we're not at there yet. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? There's no. I don't think there's a way with our current society that we can have open borders, but they were made up a long, long time ago, and they cause a huge amount of problems. And the U.S. Mexican border is sort of the what's the word? It's the easiest illustration because it's right there and we can see it,
Yes.
but it's not the only border that we have. We're
No,
yeah,
there's 78 fenced borders in the world. I mean,
right.
go to Israel. Most countries have fences protecting their borders. But what this begs the question is, how do we solve this problem? And I'm here to tell you, we have a solution. You provide people, not welfare, Joel. Welfare doesn't work.
Hmm.
Gifts make slaves. You provide them opportunity to live with dignity in their own country of Mexico. And I guarantee you, they don't want to illegally immigrate into the United States. They just can't live on 14 bucks a day. And believe it or not, the further north you go in Mexico, the higher the wage. If you want to go down and work on a daily wage in Chiapas or Oaxaca, you're looking at $5 to $7 a day. So if we can provide people, which we do, housing, education, access to medicine, ways that they can raise their families, again, with dignity, I promise you, they don't want to leave their traditions, their cultures, their food, their people. They don't want to, but it's out of necessity. So I think those of us in the land of plenty, in the land of opportunity, have a certain, and I don't like the word obligation because I don't see it as an obligation. I see it as an opportunity. Let me give you one example that makes it so clear. We are such an unbalanced species. Our high school educations at Rancho Feliz are $300 a year tuition. Okay, Do you know what we spent in the United States of America last year, 2024, on pet clothing?
Oh my God, it's billions.
7
It's billions.
billion.
Yeah.
And that amount of money could fund 17 million years of high school scholarship. But we choose to clothe our dogs and cats. So, I mean, we've got to figure out somehow, I call it empathic blindness. Somehow, those are Mexicans. What? Oh, they don't get as hungry as I do. I'll be darned. They don't have the same wants and desires. They don't have the same number of nerve endings. I mean, give me a break. These are human beings. And you know the difference between you and me, Joel, and them? Luck. It's no more complicated than that. We were lucky. We were born north of that damn border, and they weren't. And so, with that understanding and with the opportunities that we've been given, and then my contention truly is that charitable work, the work I do, is not a sacrifice. Sacrifice denotes lack, scarcity. There's not enough, so I'm going to give you some of mine and I'm going to have a little less. That's bound to breed resentment. My contention and what my 28,000 volunteers will tell you is that service to others is the most selfish thing you can do. It's because you feed your soul. It gives you purpose greater than taking a selfie. It makes you feel like you've made a difference in the world. And when you're laying on your deathbed, you can say, you know what? I'm leaving this place a little better than I found it. And you can't buy that. That's service to others. That I call it enlightened self-interest. It is in my best interest to help others.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that philosophy, that which is how we all should feel. And there are many famous philanthropists throughout history, that's how they spent the end of their lives. Bill Gates is one example. The
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate thing about that example is he destroyed a lot of lives to get to where he could help a lot of lives. But that's a
Mm-hmm.
different story. But
Yeah.
absolutely. So, how did you and your brother started this nonprofit? Like, how did you start it? What inspired you to do what you're doing?
Yeah.
And also, actually, I should back up. My first question is, how does it work for people helping themselves and people? It's like it's not just a charity, as you said. It's something
Right.
that you're not just giving handouts. You're doing more than that.
That's a great question. And I call it reciprocal giving.
Yes.
This was pounded into my head. We helped the Tarahumara Indian tribe, the runners, the distance runners, down in the Barranco de Cobra, Copper Canyon of Chihuahua. And I befriended a runner named Felipe. And when I was up in Phoenix one time, I saw this really cool knife. And these guys live out in the forest. And I said, Felipe would love this knife. So the next time I was down in Copper Canyon, I found my friend and I gave him this knife. And he looked at it and opened the blades. And I went off to do something. I came back. Felipe was gone, but the knife was sitting there on the tree trunk where he'd been sitting. And I thought, Felipe forgot the knife. He forgot his knife. So I grabbed it and went run after him. Felipe, you forgot your knife. And this older Tarahumara tapped me on the shoulder and said, no, no, Mr. Gill, no, you did a really bad thing in our culture. What do you mean I did a bad thing? I gave him a gift. He said, exactly. And you didn't tell him with any warning so he could have something to give you back. So you created this uneven energy. You're the benevolent giver, and he's the lowly receiver. And that is an insult to us. And wow, Joel, did that ever hit home with me? You have to make people, you have to let them get invested in the program. Case in point, we do these huge food distributions, 1,000 bags of food, but the food isn't free. I used to be free because how were you going to charge a 80-year-old lady or a 4-year-old kid? What are they going to do to earn their food?
Hmm.
Well, I looked around Agua Prieta and the national flower is the discarded plastic bag. So I said, okay, I put it on the ticket. If you want a bag of food, you have to pick up a minimum of 20 pieces of discarded plastic. So the next morning, the food distribution, they start lining up 6, 7 hours ahead of time. And I didn't know whether they'd say, to hell with you, gringo, you pick up your own trash. But I go out there and guess what, Joel? Their posture was, mira, señor, mira mi bolsa. Look at my bag. 200. I collected 200 bags. We all want to contribute. We don't want to be beggars. We don't want to be humiliated. We want to have stock in that transaction. And by allowing them to do that, we created an air of equity. They feel good about themselves. They earn that bag of food. And we can give it knowing that we contributed to their dignity. It works.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I mean, that was a tradition in many tribes in America too, when Europeans first came over, and still is, honestly,
Mhm.
is yeah, you can't, if you're going to give a gift, you have to allow them to give you a gift.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I
sometimes,
never thought
yeah,
about it. For some
right,
reason,
right. We don't think about it.
as a
We're
male in the United
yeah.
States, we're the givers, we're the providers, and I
Hmm.
was always that. And in fact, now I'm learning you can't have givers without receivers. Think about that. It's the yin and the yang. So if somebody wants to give me something these days, somebody said, "Well, let me get dinner." I let them get dinner. And because it allows them to express that side of themselves and contribute to our friendship. And it took me a long time to learn that.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, and like you said, we are born lucky where we were born, and I'm not incredibly wealthy, but I have a comfortable living, and I feel lucky. I feel very lucky. So, but I'm kind of the same way. If someone wants to offer me a gift, because it's a different culture. For
Hmm.
I was born like it's kind of an insult not to accept it. There
Hmm. Hmm.
you can argue over the dinner bill to be macho, or you can just say, sure, no, that's fine, thanks,
Well, you learned
appreciate
it
it.
quicker than I did.
A lot of arguments over the dinner.
Yeah, yeah. Indian wrestling and the whole thing.
Well, here's a bit of an aside. I saw on your resume that you studied Kempo karate. You were a black
Hmm.
belt in Kempo
Hmm.
karate. And
Hmm.
because of your age, I did when I was a teenager, I did Kempo karate. So I was curious if you got your belt from Ed Parker.
No, but it wasn't far from him.
Hmm.
The gentleman's name was Steve Shoup, and he wasn't as a direct student of Ed Parker's, but he was like one generation below.
Yeah, I actually took from someone in Eugene who was an Ed Parker student,
Wow.
and he had Ed Parker come to a demonstration. And
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't quite aware of the significance at the time until, but man, that guy was a magician. He was big,
Joel,
big guy, and he was
Ed
like that.
Parker taught Elvis.
Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
Elvis's
Right,
instructor.
right.
Come on.
He was, and he invented, the Kempo karate. He's
Yes.
the style, um, that style of martial arts. Pretty amazing, dude.
It's
Yeah,
interesting that you would know that. Not many people do.
it's true. It's true. He's not very well remembered now because now it's all octagon and
Hmm. Yeah, right.
it's all this stuff. Not the same thing. Not the same thing. Absolutely amazing. Um, oh, so you are one. I mean, you don't just give out groceries. You build houses for people. How
Oh,
did
absolutely.
how did that like develop? Or
Well,
was that
it
your
developed.
original idea?
Yeah, what we said earlier. Well, let me go back on that a little bit so I can kind of show you how it morphed because it's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting to me anyway
It's
how
interesting
this
to
thing
me.
came together. At first, well, first of all, my brother and I, this is 1987, my brother Troy, great guy. We've had adventures all over the world together. And we had just come off a month river float down the Green River from Flaming Gorge, Wyoming into Lake Powell. It was like Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer. Just had a blast on the river for a month, sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner, and it was just like Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray. Remember that old movie?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where they lived the same thing over and over. So I said, oh, we're going to eat too much turkey. We're going to watch football and drink too much beer. And, there's nothing wrong with any of those. But when you do it consistently, knowing that a mere 4-hour drive from your house, there were people without the basic needs of the human condition, I couldn't tolerate it anymore. So we got up, we bought $2,000 worth of staple goods from Price Club, it was called at the time, drove towards Nogales. We're on there in the middle of Tucson. My brother's telling me a joke. He is a funny guy. I'm laughing so damn hard. I missed the turn. And so we're sitting, where can we turn around? And then we looked at each other and we said, well, let's just see where the hell we end up. And that was the start of my learning that God or spirit or whatever you want to call it reveals itself to those with a higher purpose. I really believe that. And I'm not a religious guy. But we ended up going through Benson, Tombstone, Douglas, and into Agua Prieta. It means dirty or brackish water. Population 100,000 people. I'd never heard of it. The average wage at the time then was $6 a day. And you could see it when we would drive down the roads. There were parts of town that were just boggled my mind at the poverty. We ran into a little sign that said orfanatario. And even in my bad Spanish, I knew what that was. And here was this 23-year-old girl, Eunice, taking care of 8 children that she'd harvested off the streets, cooking them tamales over a burning tire. And I thought, 3 nights ago, I was at a Suns game, all the money and the bling and all, and 4-hour drive. I'm here where they don't even have a toilet to go to the bathroom in. It's not, that's just, if you have any kind of sense of social justice, that's not right. So we went back. I got Phelps Dodge to open the haunted hospital in Jerome, Arizona, and we had one hell of a Halloween party. We raised $15,000 and built indoor bathrooms for them. But that's when I made up my mind. I'll do this charitable stuff as long as it's fun. If it's not fun anymore, I'm not interested. I have a mantra: he or she who dies having had the most fun wins. And that's how I like to live my life. And it has been great. And it has morphed into taking down used clothes and things to now we provide housing. We have built 1,300 homes. We've created over 21 million in home equity. We've actually created a Mexican middle class. We've issued over 4,000 private scholarships. We've issued 6,000 adult diplomas. We conduct medical clinics. We've got an animal program for spaying, neutering. I mean, this thing has just grown and grown and grown. And it wasn't until a year ago that I actually hired somebody. I volunteered my whole life for this. We hired a CEO, Donna Valdez, who now is going to take us to the next level. So that's kind of how it all came together. The big switch and my big message is that this is not a sacrifice. I like to think about a group of college guys sitting around drinking beer, watching football. The game's over, and they say, well, what do you want to do now? Oh, I don't know. Let's go sacrifice. Who's going to do? Nobody's going to do it.
That's great. Well, that's the amazing thing is that you did. I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. You definitely, it does feel like you had a calling to do that completely. And you just told me you've volunteered your time this whole time because I worked at a law office that specialized in nonprofits. So I know
Really?
where yeah, for a little while.
Yes.
Well, that was my last job, regular job. And, so I learned a lot about nonprofits, and they're not always the easiest thing to do.
Right.
They have a lot of problems. Almost always their problems are internal. The board doesn't get along, and then somebody disappears from the board, or someone decides that all that money that they raise should be theirs, or different things like that.
You have been in the business, haven't you?
Yeah.
I can tell. Yeah.
Yes, I have. The job of the lawyer I worked for was basically, well, we started nonprofits, did their legal paperwork, and then we would hear from them if they needed help with those things.
Uh-huh.
Many people we never heard from, but it was always when there's something drastically going on. So how has that? You must have a massive staff. It must be. That sounds like a lot because you have so many things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the value proposition of the dollar to the peso is quite good. So our workers to help our volunteers build the homes down there and things like that is a fraction of the cost of what we would have to pay up here in the States. So that works in our benefit. It really does.
Yeah, that's extremely helpful. I mean, here you can get volunteers, just straight up volunteers. But yeah, the minute if you're gonna pay
Yeah,
them,
but
you've got to pay them the
yeah.
the minimum wage. You can't just pay
But
them whatever you want. Yeah.
Joel, tell me how you tell a volunteer you got to be in here working on Saturday or I'm going to fire you.
Yeah, it's not that doesn't work
You don't
out.
have a lot of leverage.
Yes, it's true. That's
You
true.
really don't. But then what happened? I just got this idea about in America, it just seems, did you know we just fell to number 60? The 2024 World Happiness Report just came out. Americans under the age of 30 just fell to number 62 out of 143 countries. Here we are, arguably the richest, wealthiest country in the world, and yet we're bordering on one of the most unhappy. Mexico was number 25. Now figure this out. Here you got all the people in a happier country trying to get into an unhappier country. So I think that as long as we're chasing the materialism, and I'm a capitalist, but as long as we put our spirit into that effort, we're not going to be real happy people. We're experiencing a loneliness now, a suicide rate for 8 to 12 years old that we've never known as a country before, and we're in trouble. And we need to be grounded. We need to have something greater than this narcissistic social media. Look at me, look at me, look at me, because that is a direct recipe for unhappiness.
Wait, I have to fix my light so I look better. What was that? No, those statistics I've read those recently too, and the happiness quotient it's very interesting. It's never based on how much money you make. That's not it's and even when they break it down in the U.S., the people who make the most are usually the least happy. I mean,
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
and maybe part of that is because they have so much responsibility, or they're holding on to what they have so much. And you said you're a capitalist. To me, I don't think capitalism works in its current form. Capitalism works in the way you're doing it. That's I think the idea of capitalism, that what you're doing, it's circular.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be, well, I won because I have the most toys. I mean, he who dies with the most toys wins doesn't work. It's like you
It's
said.
ludicrous. Yeah, it's not a
ludicrous.
road to happiness.
It's ludicrous. Yeah, it's not. I agree with that a lot, and I'm always wonder when I hear this stat that says we're the richest, because a lot of people say this all the time. We're the richest company in the world. How can we have so many homeless people? Which is one of the things that's nuts to me. And your organization could work here as well for that problem. And there are cities doing that, doing similar things, and it works. But most cities are tied up in money solutions. Well, we spent this much money on it. It didn't work. So, anyway.
Yes.
Happiness is much more. But I've looked that up before. Are we really the richest company in the country in the world? Is that still true? And it is. It kind of blows my mind.
Well, if you make 60,000 a year or more, you're in the top 1% of the world.
Right.
4.7 billion people live on less than $4 a day. I mean, the numbers, if people really realize how fortunate they are to be in the United States of America, they won the largest lottery ever conducted, and it's the lottery of being born into opportunity.
Right. Right. And I mean, many of the cities and even states in the U.S. have a median income of over $60,000.
Hmm.
I I think the city I live in is pretty close to that, if not above that. And I know
Hmm.
that Portland is above more than that. San
Hmm.
Francisco, Seattle, L.A. Even
Yeah.
though all of these cities I'm mentioning have a lot of poverty, they
Yes.
also have extreme wealth.
Well,
Way
why
on.
can't we
Yeah.
take, I guess my big question is, and I even put it in my book. I mean, here we are. Why can't we just take care of each other? It's not that much money. I know. We've issued, like I say, 4,000 scholarships. And for what one of these, one cruise on a private yacht would fund that. It's not that much money to balance things out a little bit. And I'm not a socialist. I'm truly not. I'm a capitalist at heart. I think we have to have individual motivation and things like that. But I agree 100% with you. I had a friend of mine tell me the other day, he's done well in construction. I'm a self-made man. What? Really? You're a self-made man. Isn't that something? I wonder if you were born in Bangladesh, if you would be a self-made man. I mean, to make money in America isn't that tough to do. You've got every opportunity in the world. Most of the world don't even have that. They can't get traction. It doesn't matter how hard you work if you don't have the tools, if you don't have the education. Most of the world lives that way. And I think we've become complacent. And I think people need to travel more to see what the reality is. And that's why we built that facility in Agua Prieta, Mexico, so people can come. They come from all over the United States. It's safe. They stay there. We have the great Mexican food and the mariachis, and they get to know the family who they're building the house for. They get to meet the child whose education they are funding. And they go back better people.
Yeah, and that's it's an amazing organization there. And if you're wondering, the just look in the info of this podcast, and you'll be able to see. There's one website that describes it all. You really, it's all laid out there for people. It's yeah, and I mean, yeah, I'm more of a socialist, but I'm not a socialist to the point. Real socialism means you will be sharing your house with people. So
Hmm.
I'm not doing, and people
Right.
don't like real socialism. You don't own a house, and I do like owning things, but
Yes.
I really wish we had a social democratic society more, which could still be capitalist. But as I say, the way you practice capitalism, if even a fraction of people did that, I think it would work out a whole lot better. There are, again, it sometimes comes back to politics. The F-35 is a good example. Now, I love the way an F-35 looks, and it's a neat aircraft and blah blah blah, but it's a POS. It never worked, and we spent billions of dollars on it. So one of those aircraft could fund, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
how many scholarships could that fund? How
Yeah.
much? Yeah. How many people could that feed? It's just
Well,
kind of nuts. Yeah.
unbridled capitalism, to me, I mean, that's what a governor slows things down. Unbridled capitalism is just a feeding frenzy. I mean,
Right.
that's all it is. And we're seeing that now where people have $60 billion. You've got 61 person, $60 billion. Oh boy, that's a society way out of whack. And it's that, you go look at history. Almost every social collapse is due to wealth disparity. That's what triggers it. And I'm afraid we're well on our way. I think the average price home in Scottsdale, where I live right now, is $800,000.
Wow.
How does that
Wow.
work?
Yeah, it doesn't for most people.
It
I
doesn't.
mean, the
It just
average
plain
price home
doesn't.
where I am is out of the reach of any. There's not such a thing as a first-time home buyer anymore.
Right.
Like it's just, people out of college used to go. The dream would be to go buy a house, which
Yep.
made a lot of financial sense. When I didn't buy a house out of college, but that's because I did some other flaky things as a musician. But when I was able to buy a house, financially, it was a huge it made a
Yep.
huge difference. I mean, you were in real estate, so you understand that. But that's not achievable for a lot of people these days.
Right.
And, there are people who say there shouldn't be any billionaires, which is a whole. For one, I don't think they understand how someone becomes a billionaire. A lot of
Right.
billionaires, it's based on their company's wealth or their company's
Yes.
worth. And it
Yes.
wasn't like they, crushed a bunch of people to get that worth. There's other ways, but the idea is that now when you grow a company, it's become the idea has become we have to grow it more,
Yes.
not reinvest in society. Now this
Yes.
company is huge. We need to reinvest this money and and spread the wealth. Basically, that's actual capitalism, right?
And Joel, you hit the nail on the head. And you know how we can make that happen? When we appeal to people's basic greed. Okay, we are greedy and we think we're evolved. We have such a thin veneer of civilization on hundreds of thousands of years of very primordial predatory existence, and we still have those genes in us. We have to appeal to people's greed. And this, if you want a better life, this is how you do it. You serve others. We can virtually guarantee you it makes you a happier person. They've proven that scientifically. When you're in service to others through that magnetic resonance imaging, the left side of your brain is activated, and your happiness is based on your left side of the brain, prefrontal cortex, to your right. And when you do it long enough, that baseline happiness stays up there. You can actually make yourself a happier person by serving others. And what is there in life if happiness isn't the bottom line? Why are you working so hard? I mean, happiness has to be what we all strive for. And we need to find out what truly makes us happy. Short term, buy a new car, it's great. And you're really happy. It smells wonderful. After 2 years, it's your old car and you sell it. Somebody buys it, and guess what? It's their new car. It
Right,
ain't the car.
right. It's yeah,
If we look to things to bring us joy, we're never going to find it because we have five senses and they all operate on the pendulum motion of relative duality. It's either too hot or too cold. I'm real hungry or I'm too full, blah, 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 blah. And we'll never have a sustained joy there. But when we get into serving others, we can access again, and I'm not a religious guy, but we can access a magic of coincidence. I could tell you so many stories that have happened. We call it the magic of Rancho Feliz because when you're in service to others, the world opens up to you. That's been our experience.
yeah. That is wonderful. It's just wonderful, and it's so true that I mean, I am a spiritual person. I do. I try to quiet the mind at least once a day, and
Hmm.
and see what else is around. And you'll never that whole idea that everything is based on a few seconds, moments, minutes of happiness.
Hmm.
Whether it is eating the next meal, which does make us happy,
Hmm.
or buying a new car. It's crazy because I bought a new car. Well, my wife wanted a new car because she couldn't see out of the old one very well. So we got a new one. And then we both ended up retiring. And so the darn thing just sits in the garage. Now, it's my second favorite car that I've ever owned, but we barely drive it because every time we go somewhere, we get on a plane and go somewhere,
Yeah,
further than down the street.
sure.
So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but that's not where happiness lies. Definitely not. I'm happiest at kind of the quiet times before my day starts and at the end of the day. I think
Yeah.
those are the happiest times. Or when I'm on a podcast with an incredible guest like this. That also makes me happy.
Yes.
Spreading
Well,
the word.
you hit on a really important thing to me, and that is quieting your mind.
Yeah.
I think our minds are so full, and that's the basis of meditation. Is if we can just sit down, watch our thoughts, don't buy into them, and I really believe meditation and service work create these gaps when we are relaxed. We have a relaxed mind. Think about this. You're driving to work and there's a guy trying to cut, a traffic's bad, and some guy's trying to cut in. You speed up and he cuts in front of you, and you son of a bitch, and you get mad. Have you ever noticed that anger forces us to love ourselves? Think about that.
Oh, that's really interesting.
How
Yes.
could he do that to
Yeah.
me? Well, he didn't do it to you. He doesn't give a damn about you. He's late for work. Or we could see the guy's in trouble. He's late for work. And we slow down and we wave him in. And I call it that enchanted instant. He looks at me or she looks at me and I look at her or him and wave them in, and they wave, and there's a your energy relaxes, your mind opens up, and it's my contention that during those periods is when Christ consciousness or Buddha nature or spirit or whatever you want to call it enters into our cognizance.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I drove in LA a lot. And so
Well, then you know.
I do know. And it rarely hit me down there now that I'm up here in a quieter town and people
Yeah,
drive really slow, but it's easier to see someone who's in a big hurry and still in that, maybe they've got a California license plate, maybe not. And yeah,
yeah,
you
probably.
kind of see that mind frame as they weave through the streets. And if you don't get angry, which I'm not saying I don't get angry, but when I catch myself and I just go, oh, okay, that's too bad. Even
Yeah,
if the person doesn't notice, yeah, it makes a difference in the moment. You'll just be like, oh, I don't need to buy into that. It's not
right,
something I need to buy into, right? That's that person. That's what they're doing.
right.
And get out of their way because they might hit something. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have traveled all over the world.
Mhm.
Do you still travel all over the world? And do you have a favorite, I'll say, favorite spot in the world?
Yeah, I still travel. I travel a lot with my wife these days. The great big expeditions into the Himalayas and things like that. I can't keep that up anymore. Those were brutal. In 1994, my brother and I smuggled a 12-foot paddle raft into Tibet and attempted a first descent on the Yarlung Sangpo, the world's highest and most dangerous river.
Whoa.
We
Wow.
rafted for a day and we had it handed to us, and so we ended up hiking out of the Himalayas in Teva sandals. But no, favorite place, New Zealand's gorgeous. There's a lot of gorgeous places right here in the United States. Southeastern Utah is one of the prettiest places there is. The Canyonlands and some of those areas. So I don't have a specific place, and I think that places will change as we change, as we age, the things that are of appeal to us.
Oh, that's totally true. And there are just, yeah, that area you're talking about. I love the desert. It was great in LA that you can drive for just a few
Yeah,
minutes and be like in the middle of nowhere. It
yeah,
really
yeah,
didn't take long. Once the traffic dies away, now it seems like there's nothing. There's nothing but lizards. And I love that. So the Joshua Tree is amazing.
it is.
Grand Canyon is amazing.
Oh boy,
All the Four Corners area, all these areas, just amazing. I'm hoping to go visit my friends in Tucson. I've never been there,
really?
and yeah, I have some
Well,
friends
well,
there.
definitely drop me a note because I know Tucson very, very well, and I could recommend you a couple of really cool places. And who knows, our project where you have an open invitation is only 2 hours from Tucson. So if you ever want to come down and see what we do, see us in action, again, you have an open invitation. You would be my guest.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Hey,
sounds
Joel, I
awesome.
want to tell you about something real quick. We were just talking about the Grand Canyon.
Hmm.
In 1982, my brother and I got two mules to carry our water, and we hiked from Mexico to Utah just on a whim. Took us 2.5 months. And lo and behold, there has been this Arizona Trail established, the National Scenic Arizona Trail. It's really popular and it follows our route. And they have just done a documentary on the 40-year anniversary of our 1982 trek across Arizona. And it's a 40-minute piece. I hope to get it in mountain film up in Telluride and some of the other, maybe even up in Oregon. But I'd love to share that information with you as it comes out at the first of next year.
Wow, that is awesome. Yeah, I would love to see that. Because
I have,
the first time, when we were in LA, the Grand Canyon was 8 hours away
mhm.
and we were very young. So we would just drive out there. Same thing when we felt like it, it's like, oh, we've never seen the Grand
Yeah,
Canyon. Let's drive out there. And I was so awestruck the first time I looked at the Grand Canyon. And I talk to people sometimes who are like, oh, it's just a big hole in the ground. I'm like, what?
yeah.
How can you have that thought when you look at that? And one year we were camping there and it was a full moon and it was before there was a lot of safety stuff. So there wasn't a lot of railings. You could walk to the edge
Sure.
and look
Yeah.
down. And with the full moon, it was like you were standing in
Wow.
air. It was like I
Yeah.
had to I dropped to my knees. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
No, it's
amazing.
a spiritual. I've done that
Yeah.
river a few
Yeah.
times, and it's a spiritual experience. Every time I see the Grand Canyon, for me, it's like the first time. It's just so magnificent. It rocks my world every time I look at it.
Yeah, it is really amazing. And that documentary sounds just like wow. Yeah. I had a friend that hiked and he was on the podcast actually. He hiked let's see. I think he made it almost 1,000 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Just by himself. He said, I asked him during the podcast if he was going, like, did he start with anyone? Was he going with anyone? And he actually said, well, most people, even if they start with a partner, end up hiking alone just because it's too hard to walk the same, for that distance, to walk the
And,
same pace.
and then
Yeah.
get along.
And
Yeah.
get along. I'm sure. I'm
I'm
sure
very
that too.
fortunate
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
have a brother. I
Hmm.
don't think I could do it with anybody but him. But we know each other so well. We know when to back off and everything else. So
Right. Right.
lucky
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, I'm that way with my wife. We can travel together and have
Uh-huh.
traveled all over the place. So it's good to have someone like that. Good to have someone like that. So I
Yeah.
think I want to, because you're a very unique person, I love to ask the any guest questions at the end of the podcast. And I think I love the different answers I get from people. So I've asked this, not every podcast, but on a few.
Uh-huh.
So let me go. The first one is, do you like turtles?
Do I like what?
Turtles.
Yeah, I like turtles a lot,
Turtles.
actually. I had one.
Oh, great. Great.
Yeah.
That's
His
awesome.
name was Remus. He was a desert tortoise, actually.
Hmm.
Hell of a pet.
I asked that because I go to Hawaii and I love swimming with the turtles. So, oh, have you ever thought about doing your own podcast?
No.
Yeah, good. It's too much work. Don't do it.
I'm going to leave it to the pros like you.
Do you believe in luck?
Absolutely, 100%. I think here's what I don't believe in, free will.
Oh,
I,
that's interesting.
yeah, I
That is
think,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, and I think luck is a big part of everything in life.
And if you kind of give up on free will, it gives you a lot more freedom in a way, right?
It does. You're right.
You're not so, you don't have to try so hard. Social media, good or bad?
That's a tough one. I'm going to say for the human, I don't think it's all that great. I know there's good parts of it, but for happiness, I don't see that it makes us happier people.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to. I think the current algorithms, which aren't going to change because they're making people billions of dollars,
Right.
they're based on arguments. Um, do you have a favorite podcast? Maybe one you've been on. You've been on a lot, I saw.
Um, I'm a fan of Sam Harris's. I like the way he thinks.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so his would probably be, if I had to choose, that would be the one, outside of yours, of course.
Oh, thanks. You're the second person that figured out to say that. It's an obvious answer, folks.
Well, that goes without saying. Come on. Here I am.
Yeah, Sam Harris. I think he has a few more people listening than I do. I don't know. Maybe. Uh, have you gotten any new furniture lately?
Wow, let me think about that. New furniture. No.
Okay. Um, Maybe you don't buy things online, but what was the last thing you bought online?
Oh, I buy a ton of stuff online. I think it was a lightweight backpack. I hike the migrant trails.
Oh, nice.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, that's a rough one because um, so many people die in the desert trying to get a better life. And
Hmm.
we find the remains and we fund the DNA testing. But so the last thing I bought online was a lightweight backpack.
Oh, wow. That's another great thing that you do. That's pretty awesome. And I was just thinking immediately, I jumped to the juxtaposition of people hiking mountains and dying to get up to the top of a mountain versus people hiking trails to get a better life and dying that way. It's
Well, Joel, the
wow.
horror of it is the people that recruit them don't tell them. They get paid once a person signs up. So they'll tell them these are people in Chiapas and Honduras that are jungles. They don't have a clue what the Sonoran Desert. The road that goes through that we hike, it's called the Devil's Highway for a reason.
Right.
People die. I think they find 1 out of 5 bodies, and there have been over 13,000 recovered. That means more people have died in the desert looking for a better life than we lost in the Vietnam War. And
Wow.
that's a horrible way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You
But
saw, yeah, I have a
yeah.
story in my book about that guy that got dragged to a ranch by 8 dogs.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Yikes. Ever want to do something else for a living? Was there
I'm too
ever,
old. I'm too
well,
old,
when you
Joel.
were younger, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. One lifetime just isn't enough. It's not
Right.
even close to enough. And the problem is, it's backwards. By the time you get to my age, you got some idea what's going on. You can't remember it the next day. So I don't know.
I've
Yeah.
heard that before, and it's so true, right? It's so true. You get all you as you age, you get more knowledge. I'm sorry, kids, it's true, but then you forget it.
Now, I've got no great regret. My one regret, though, not that you asked, but my one great regret is I didn't become fluent in Spanish. I wish I had actually gone to Spanish class and paid attention because it would have served me really well for my life.
I'm
But
really glad that you said that because that's a question I forgot to ask. I was going to ask if you did
that's
ever
it.
learn
There it
Spanish,
is.
and wow, that's amazing. Do you believe in talent?
Talent?
Talent, yeah, like talent. Is,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, yeah. A lot of people don't. I
Believe
definitely
in.
do.
Did I hear the word right? Talent?
Talent, yeah, like someone who plays basketball really well, or
Yeah,
someone who's
yeah,
who's
yeah.
born to, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Joel, I saw the other night like this 5-year-old child playing the piano like Mozart. Now, I mean, how does that even happen? They must channel into some energy or some knowledge from somewhere else because I don't know how else you would explain that. That's
This
talent.
that almost makes me think of past lives more. I
Yeah.
just had someone contact me to be on the podcast. It's does past life regression, and that makes me think. Okay, maybe they're remembering the last life when they knew how to play an instrument.
Well, that would
Yeah.
explain it. Nothing else does.
I get really annoyed when I see these videos because I'm always being shown videos by YouTube of 5-year-old drummers who are just ridiculously talented in it. Like, get out of here. That doesn't
Yeah.
help me. Oh, and I think we've answered this. Do you believe in something after this?
No,
This is it, one life.
that's all that I've been shown, and that's all my mind can wrap its arms around. I
Hmm.
think those are unanswerable questions, and
Yes.
I think the more important is to put our energy into making this moment with me and you as good as it can possibly be. So,
Oh, that is awesome. I like that question. I mean, answer. I've had lots of answers to these questions. They're always entertaining, and yeah, I think we will wrap it up there because that was beautiful. What you're doing is just amazing. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I'm probably going to want to have you back on and get into some other subjects because yeah, you've done so much. You do so much, and you've done so much. And I hope that I can come visit the project. That would be amazing. I've only been to Mexico once, but it wasn't across the border. I was always told not to go to Tijuana when I was in LA, that was not the way to visit Mexico,
yeah.
because everyone goes to Tijuana. That's their big party thing. So,
Hey, Joel, I just had an idea, and I want to tell you something. Since I started this work, we've had over 28,000 volunteers, American volunteers, cross the border, come stay with us, serve, and go home. Okay?
hmm.
I've never had one incident, not one incident of violence. Now, I couldn't do that in Phoenix, Arizona, I guarantee you.
Right.
My thought is, why, when you go to Tucson, bring your gear, let's do a podcast on site with our volunteers and the work sites and stuff like that. That could be great.
Yeah, that could be amazing. I'm going to think about how I can do that. All I
Okay.
really need is one more piece of equipment, a smaller piece of equipment, because what I have now is stupid big. But I can get another thing and do that. That would be great. And I would love to do an on-site podcast. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Joel, we would have so much fun.
yeah.
You'll love the people down there. You'll love the facility, and you'll love the seeing these American spoiled, rotten kids see how most of the world, and watching them wake up and start to appreciate what their parents provide them. And it's just, I tell people, I'm like, I get to be Santa Claus.
Right.
Who doesn't want to give houses? Who doesn't want to do this thing? I mean, I live in miracles. Come down and have that experience with me.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm going to figure out a way to do that. I'm going to
Well,
figure,
I'll help
yeah,
in any way
because
I can, Joel.
you invited me. So yeah, maybe you could buy me dinner.
All day long.
All right. Thank you so much. This has been. Were you still talking? This is Joel Albrecht, and I've been talking to Gil Gillenwater. He has, just an amazing book out. We talk a little about the book, but also check out the website in the show notes. I always forget what they're called. In the show notes, and see their amazing work that they're doing and learn more. You can learn a lot more about the U.S.-Mexico border. I think that people don't have a clue, most of us. That's what I feel like. So it's been so great having you on the program, and we will see you. Hopefully, we will see you again because I got to take you up on that offer, and be good to each other, and be good to yourselves. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Joel. Take care.
You too.